choose peace. I choose love.
In 2017, I learned something really simple, but seriously profound. And it had such a huge impact on my day to day life that it's important to share it. It's important to share it with you, and I've shared it with many over the years. And so today, I want to tell you a little story about my time in India. Back in 2017, I traveled to the other side of the world by myself. I left my business, trusted that my staff had it all under control without any input from me. I left my husband and my children, and I boarded a plane and took off to India for a month. And I learned a lot in that month. A lot. But one thing that really shifted my day to day life was really, really simple. In my first week there, or really my first full morning there, I was walking down a dirt path by myself at probably 3:45 in the morning. It was quiet, it was dark, and surprisingly cold. I had my destination down that dirt path, and the only thing that lit the path was the moonlight. And I remember the moonlight coming through the trees and that long path ahead of me, and the silence, just the sound of my footsteps, and noticing with every step the dust that floated up around my feet as I walked down that path. Now, I was jet lagged for sure, and a bit cranky and exhausted. You see, I'd always been a night owl. In fact, for many years, I suffered with insomnia. As far back as I can remember being a little kid and just laying wide awake in my bed for hours and hours. And in my teens, when I was in high school, I remember it really kicked into overdrive. And I remember there was like almost a full week that I hadn't slept. Still went to school every day. Clearly, I must not have been my best. Imagine like a full week of no sleep. But this is a pattern that I had always had. Clearly, I didn't recognize at that time in my life that I had some form of anxiety that made me lay awake in my bed at night, thinking and turning the thoughts and the stories on and on in my head. And in 2017, I was 47, and I didn't know quite what I was looking for, but I knew that I was looking for something, that I needed something. And I was willing to leave my life and travel by myself, which was really scary, to the other side of the world, into a densely populated country, and make my way. And prior to leaving, I had a virtual meeting with my teacher. And he set some expectations, what our days would be like. Asked me what I had hoped to achieve from this time away. And he informed me that every morning, 7 days a week, for that full month, we would meet in the ashram at 4 a.m. And we may go all day. And we did. We did. We definitely did. I remember dragging myself back to my room at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night during that month. But that first morning, jet lagged, exhausted, walking down that path by myself in the moonlight, and hearing this squeaking and crunching coming from the path behind me. And it getting closer and closer to me. And I remember looking over my shoulder and seeing my teacher riding towards me on a bike. And he pulled up next to me. And I remember the bike. It was old and it was rusty and it was squeaking relentlessly. And he pulled up next to me, turned to look at me and said, "Good morning, Marlena," with a big smile on his face. Now, I'm sure my response was not as bright and sunny as his was that first morning, but I greeted him, I smiled, and he traveled down that path. Now, in that virtual meeting we had prior to me boarding the plane, he informed me that I was going to be required to be in these 4 a.m. sessions. And I remember saying to him, knowing my history of insomnia, knowing that I have always been a night owl and couldn't sleep at night, that I didn't think that was possible. I would try, but, I don't sleep good, that's really early, all the things. All the resistance, right? And I remember him looking at me and saying, "Shut up and just do it, Marlena." See, he knew. He heard it. I'm sure he heard it countless times before, the resistance. The resistance to doing what we need to do. We all know that we're looking for something and that we can do better, that we can be better, but we resist. And when he said, "Shut up and just do it," shut up and just do it. Simple, right? In that moment, in that silence after he said that, I heard everything I had said. And I felt all the resistance in me and every excuse that I had made up. And he was right. Just shut up and do it. You want something. You need something. And here's somebody offering you something. So just shut up and do it. When we start listening to our own resistance, the words, the stories, the excuses, we start to recognize when we listen and we really hear what we're doing, that it's all excuses and resistance. None of it's fact. All of it is made up obstacles. And that simple, shut up and do it, that moment changed everything. So I boarded that plane. I left my world behind. This was kind of like my moment of letting go of the wheel and trying to control everything in my life that I had been doing for so long, and just letting the path unfold in front of me and being open to whatever it reveals. See, at the end of that path was the ashram. And as I made my way to the end of the path, it revealed itself, this big, beautiful building, worn and old, but as all things are in India. And there it was, and underneath were all these stalls where they kept the cows and the bulls and the chickens and the roosters. And it was beautiful underneath the moonlight. Quiet, peaceful. And I made my way up this big flight of stairs to a landing and walked through the doors into this giant room with cathedral ceilings and a wall full of glass that overlooked the mountains. The room was dark. It was, at that point, 4 a.m. in the morning. And it was cold, remarkably cold. You don't go to India and expect it to be cold, but it was. And the room was filled with maybe 40, 50 people from all around the world, all sitting quietly on these cushioned mats with blankets bundled over their shoulders to keep them warm, and one lamp off in the corner lighting the room. And all these people, none of whom I knew, sitting quietly. No movement, just darkness. And out the plate glass windows, the mountain tops lit by the moonlight. So I gathered myself and my cushion and my blankets, and I set myself up, feeling kind of anxious, like I don't belong here. They all look so peaceful. They've done this before, and I've never done this before. What have I done to myself? I committed to a month away from everything. No TV, no phone, no internet, no distractions. And I settled down and sat quietly, letting the example of those around the room lead me. If they could do it, I could do it. And at first, I thought, geez, this is going to be boring. This is useless. Why are people just sitting here? I was so tired and jet-lagged. I was so resistant and cranky. I didn't want to do this part of it. I came to India for something else, not to sit in a room cold in the dark. And I remembered, shut up and just do it. That first morning, the thoughts that went through my head, they were more external thoughts about the world, my life. Everything I've left behind. Is my business going to be okay? Can I trust my staff? My home, my family. I missed my husband. I missed my kids. Shut up and just do it. In the first few days, maybe the first 3-4 days, something shifted. Something in my body, in my nervous system, in my mind shifted, subtly at first. But it was there, and I started to notice it. I started to notice that I was falling asleep easier at night. And here I was in a foreign place, not my bed, not my room, not my familiar surroundings. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any distractions. But each morning, I woke up and traveled that dirt path. And every morning, I sat quietly, maybe 30 minutes, an hour. I don't know how long it was. I didn't have a watch on. I wasn't looking at my phone, keeping track. I just knew that when the roosters crowed, the sun was rising. And that was the time to open my eyes and look out over the mountains as the sun revealed itself and glistened off the mountains. And prior to that, I listened to myself, all the thoughts. And I know it's hard. That's the scariest thing for some people, to sit and be still and hear what's going on inside us. And trust me, I was very critical of myself. I started to notice. I started to notice before I even put my feet on the floor, before I got out of bed, the thoughts that I was having, the to-do list, the remembering and being critical of the things I did the day before, reliving them. Could I have done that better? I shouldn't have said that. I could have reacted better in that situation. I started to notice what it was like to not be in control of my life and not have to be in control of my business and be on top of it, and all that nervous energy that I had and the thoughts I had before I even opened my eyes and got out of bed. You see, for years, I was 47 at this time, I woke up every morning exhausted because I never slept well. I always had a hard time sleeping. I woke up hitting that snooze button, just 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes. That was my morning routine, just 5 more minutes. And then rushing to get out of bed because I was already late. I already was behind. I had a list of things I had to do. When my kids were younger, I had to get them out of bed and get them to school. I had to get myself to work. The hurry, the hustle, the bustle, do this, do that. All of it was there. Even in India, away from it all, I started to notice how I treated myself and the energy that I manifested and created within myself. And how hard I was on myself. And prior to being in India, prior to taking that time, being forced to take that time, to shut up and do it, I never noticed. I never noticed that anxious anxiety every morning that I began my day with. I never sat still long enough to listen to my own thoughts. Maybe I had unconsciously and I didn't like what I was thinking, so I kept myself busy. You know, the disease of being busy, having so much to do. Oh, I'm so busy. I can't do that because I'm so busy. That was me for the first 47 years of my life. I learned in that time, in that month, how we start our day is how we live our day. Wake up crazy and anxious and just continue that energy. Feed that energy. And something else I learned, which is something I would have never thought of, that time from 4 a.m. to whenever the sun rose, there was something about it. I was in a room full of strangers and everybody was sitting there quietly. But there was something really special about that time. It seemed calmer than 7 a.m. It seemed calmer than 6 a.m. And it was. You see, you can feel a person's energy without even seeing them. You can sense somebody come into a room behind you. When somebody presents themselves, before they say a word, you feel something from them. You can tell if they're stressed. You can tell if they're angry. You can tell if they have this heavy energy. like they're carrying pain. You can sense a dangerous person, and you can sense a loving and peaceful person as well. The energy we create or we carry is not invisible to others. It's very, very clearly seen and felt. And that energy, first thing in the morning, before the rooster crows and before the world wakes up with its energy, the collective energy, that collective hurry up and get the day started energy, hurry up and go through your checklist, hurry up and get to the next thing. That frenetic, anxious energy is collective and you can feel it. But at 4 a.m., when everyone's sleeping, even the rooster and the cows, there's a collective calm. And we all know when we put ourselves in a stressful environment, we become stressed. And when we put ourselves in a calming, grounding environment, we become calmer and more grounded. So what I learned was that time of day was a time of day that I could tap into that energy and collect it and draw on it for myself. In the Vedic traditions, it's called a sattvic time of day, a grounding, calming time of day, collective calm. And it's true. And I didn't know that before I started this practice of waking up early, tapping into that collective calm, and allowing it to seep into me as if I'm a sponge and absorbing it, to give me a kickstart to sit calmly and quietly with myself. Now, I still have all the thoughts. Some days I'm critical of myself. Some days I'm more graceful with myself and more nurturing. But nonetheless, with practice, that month, I found that each morning that I sat quietly, it became easier to watch my thoughts without judgment, without fear, without pain. Just to watch them as if I were watching a movie, letting them be outside myself and not represent myself, because the thoughts we have aren't necessarily who we are. Our thoughts are representative of the world around us. We have the option to witness our thoughts, and when we witness them, when we notice them, we also have the ability to self-correct and change them through perspective. So, tomorrow morning, this is something you can do. You don't have to go to India. You don't have to travel to the other side of the world. You don't have to leave your life for a month. You can do this tomorrow morning in your own home. And it's something that I've kept doing and I find is the most accessible and most profound practice that I do. It helps me reconnect with myself every single day. And yes, you may have those thoughts like, I can't do that. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I can't sleep at night. You may have the same resistance I had. But what you don't know, you don't know. And you are able to learn, given the opportunity and given the will and desire. So shut up and just do it. And maybe you'll learn something about yourself. Now, I'm not going to tell you what you can learn about yourself. That's for you to see. But I can guarantee you that you will learn something very deeply and profoundly. And it will change your life, because how we start our day is how we live our day. That energy that we wake up with and don't self-correct, don't acknowledge, that carries throughout our day. That's a ritual already you have. You've been doing it for years. Whatever it is you do in the morning, notice. It's no different from day to day. You have a base ritual. Try a new one. Try this. Simple. Wake up earlier. Yeah, you might be tired. You may be resistant. Start by setting your alarm 30 minutes earlier. And before you put your feet on the ground, before you get out of bed, just notice your thoughts. You don't have to change them, just notice them. What are you thinking? Where are you? Are you off in your imagination? Because imagination is planning for the future and reminiscing in the past. It is not the present moment. It's all imagination. It's not reality. Reality is that moment in your bed before your feet hit the ground and noticing your thoughts. Don't change them, just notice. Get up, put your feet on the ground, have your morning normal ritual, whatever that is, and then take some time. I do this every morning. Before my husband wakes up, before my pets wake up. I have a 150-pound Rottweiler, Primo. At any moment, he's going to bark and hustle out of the room. I have a 15-year-old tabby cat, Rizzo. Every morning, the two of them greet me. We go outside, me and Primo. He has his moment to do his business, and I come back in. I make my cup of coffee, and as I'm making my cup of coffee, Rizzo lets his presence be known, and he gets his morning tussle and kisses. And the three of us come into the living room, and they may scuffle, the two of them, jealous for attention. And I break it up every morning. And Rizzo curls up next to me, and Primo sits at my feet. And it's quiet. And in that quiet, I notice my thoughts. I notice where I am in my head. And I notice some mornings, even to this day, 7, 8 years later that I've been doing this, some mornings I start with that frenetic energy. The world around us is loud, deliberately loud, trying to distract us, to draw our attention away from ourselves. Pay attention to this, pay attention to that, do this, be that. And this is my moment, my time, to pull myself back to my heart, right here, and say, none of that is important. This is what's important. Stay here. And whatever thoughts I'm having, I notice them, and I can say, that's not helpful. That's me being critical. That's me blaming. That's me not taking responsibility. In that situation yesterday, I could have been kinder. Next time I will. And it's my time to sit and just listen. Listen to the silence. Connect with that calming energy of the morning. And decide. Simply decide. Choose Choose to do better, to be better, to do my best, be kinder, kinder to myself. And in that kindness, I will be kinder to other people. And when I do that, every morning, before my husband wakes, before the world starts, I have a better day. Now, that's not to say that in the middle of the day, I might get stirred up. We all do. Life is life. But I'm less likely to react negatively to the world around me when I begin grounded and calm. Every morning, no phone, no TV, no distraction. You just heard my dog snore. All my videos, he's going to snore because he's always sleeping at my feet, the sweet boy. It's a simple practice. You don't have to take notes. You don't need a pen. You don't need a paper. You don't need anything. Just a spot that you can go to every morning. And the will to try something new, to change your morning ritual and see how it positively affects the rest of your day. Take 5 minutes. Commit to it for a week. See what happens. I guarantee something good will happen. Now, some days will be easier than others. Maybe you have the disease of busy. Maybe you avoid those quiet moments because you don't like what you think. You don't want to hear your thoughts. Those thoughts are never going to go away until you sit quietly and reflect upon them. And we all have them. And remember, this is important. If even you aren't worthy of your own time, who else is? Truly. Because if you can't spend time nurturing yourself, you can never truly take care of others and be present for others. When we learn to be stuck in our head and just go through the motions, we're never fully connected to the moment. We're never fully connected to each other. Now, maybe after those 5, 30, or even an hour that you take for yourself, no doubt, you're going to get into the shuffle. What's next? What do I got to do? But you'll enter it with a different perspective. You'll enter it a little more grounded and present. You'll enter it with a little bit more openness and kindness and gratitude. I promise you. When you connect with yourself, your thoughts, you become more patient, more grounded, more accepting, more loving, more compassionate. These are all things that you learn by giving them to yourself first. And when the world around you is chaos, you'll remember what's important. Because in those moments that you sit quietly with yourself, perspective shifts. It's not the world around you that's calling for your attention, claiming urgency. Pay attention to this now. We learn what's truly important. We learn to count our blessings. And for me, it's this 150-pound fur baby and my 15-year-old Tabby and my husband and my kids and my grandkids and my home. Even though the world calls for my urgent attention, it's loud and it's fast. This is important. Pay attention now. The world is falling apart. At the end of my days, at the end of my life, I'm not going to remember all the BS. I'm going to be more focused and grateful for the time that I had truly present. Truly present in the moments with my loved ones and the things that are truly important, because I have taught myself to do that. And I remind myself every morning of what's truly important. Yes, the world gets crazy. There are still lots of stressful times. Someone's upset, this one's got a problem. I'm a mother, a grandmother. I have a life. It's no different than anyone else's. But in those early mornings, quiet by myself, when the sun's rising, and I recall what is really important, I also remember how truly blessed I am. I didn't get here all by myself. I'm supported by those who love me and whom I love. And at the end of my days, that's what I'm going to remember. The chaos around me of family, I can smile upon it rather than get stressed. How blessed am I to have what I have? How blessed are you? So, start small or start big, but start. Just shut up and do it. And I promise you, you will notice a shift. It doesn't have to be 4 a.m. Excuse me. It could be 5 a.m. Just start. Just start. Tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you put your feet on the floor, just pause. Notice what's already running through your head. Are you present? Or are you already gone? Just notice. That's your practice, and stay there. Ram Dass, you can look him up if you don't know who he is, had a famous quote, one that really sticks with me, and I come back to over and over throughout the years. Very simple and very profound. Really beautiful. He said, "We are all children, just trying to walk each other home." My teacher said to me, "Your practice is not yours to keep. You must give it away." As he gave it to me and his teacher before him, this simple morning practice will keep you sane, grounded, and really present. And in that presence, we find joy and peace. This is not something esoterical. It's not some elaborate system, but it is a proven system. So shut up and just do it. I'm Marlena. And as Ram Dass said, come walk with me. And we can do this together. Have a beautiful day.